Malakshur, Hinkafen Kostbolar. Zulastal.
My picture. Oh my god.
Oh, I muted myself. Good afternoon, hello and welcome. I think you already heard. Here is Strudel with me today. Hello, Strudel.
Hello.
Please, could you give me a quick feedback if the voices, audio is clear and fine on the stream? Good.
Are the voices in your head clear and audible?
And we are today right in the bee and bar.
Oh, so we are. You. I forgot that you had done that. Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
Strangely enough, my chat frame overlay does not really work. I'm not sure why, but I think we will not tinker too much around with it at the moment. Let's just keep it how it is. Can probably live without it too. Yeah, it's a lively. Alright, we have to talk about the challenge. The good guy. Came from you, Strudel.
Yes, it did.
And it was...
It was my evil idea. Because of the fact that it's so easy and so much fun to play bad guy in Skyrim. And you always seem to kind of drift that way anyway. I thought, okay, let's see whether it is possible to do it the other way. And then I started thinking, it depends a lot on how you define good.
Yeah, exactly.
Because, you know, just saying good guy would kind of be very limiting, because there are only so many things you can do in Skyrim without, for example, killing people. Which is not usually considered a good thing. So I decided the challenge would be to define what good means for your character and see how well you can stick to it.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting idea. Because what you said, good guy, to define your good guy can be so. There are so many different good guys in books and films and stuff. So there's for example, the Robin Hood guy, or the pure good, let it say this way, more the paladin guy, or the partly bad but still good guy with good intentions. There are so many versions of a good guy, and to define a good guy is very hard, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been really easy to just download, like Thieves Guild for the good guy, or the Dark Brotherhood for the good guy, or all of the mods that are specifically set up that way. I thought, no, that's not really how I want to go about this, because that's not only too easy, but a little bit limiting. And so I actually was thinking about this idea while we were doing the last challenge, thinking, okay, how evil can I be in coming up with a challenge to challenge everybody? And I really think that it was an interesting experience.
I'm pretty sure it was. This, like I said, the ideas of a good guy or are so diverse. This is the thing that makes it so interesting for me personally. So, your good guy. Should we start with this one?
Guy.
I would say.
Orlis Winterwood.
Yeah, let us. You submitted a video too.
Uh-huh.
Let us look into the video, I would say.
Okay.
It's not too long. We are muted during the video, as always. And
okay.
see the video. Oh, give me a moment. I need to give the audio. I forgot to set in the audio path for it.
Yes, he did indeed. Oh, there we go. That would be probably why. Yep, certainly do. Yeah, Orlus was a blast. He really was. His story wasn't actually supposed to end. I mean, to go as long as it did. It was supposed to end after he did Alduin and Bayo on mute. No Bayo.
Yeah, sure he was on mute because he's rustic.
No, they're saying you're on mute. They can't hear you.
Sure it was because I'm rusted in the stuff, but now I should not.
Okay, can you hear him now? Anyway,
you talked
are we
about
back?
it. Yeah, there he is.
Okay, everybody's back. So
Okay.
yeah, he was supposed to be over after he did all of the main quests and Dawnguard and so forth. But what happened was that somewhere along the line, somebody's area effect spell, either his or one of the guys that he traveled with, hit a storm cloak somewhere, and from that point on, it was non-stop running across storm cloaks who were very intent on making him an ex-good guy. So I said, okay, well, we'll do this Civil War from the Imperial side, and it just extended his play so much. It also was where he ran into problems as far as being a good guy was concerned, because there's really no way to do a war without murders and assaults and so forth. So all of the things that he had tried to avoid as part of the good guy rules that I set up for him just kind of went by the wayside when we got to that. But by that point, it didn't matter to me. I was just having too much fun playing him, so I went ahead and played him and kept paying the fine according to the rules that I had set up.
Yeah, when when I look into your rules, your main rules were no stealing, no lockpicking, no looting burial urns, no trespassing, killing only if attacked. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, but
And
there are
of course-
exceptions for it.
Yeah, there were a few exceptions. To begin with, he was going to be one of these guys who, bandits are always fair game. But then I realized that in some cases the game counts those as assaults. So he said, okay, they're still fair game and I will pay the fine when I attack one. And so he did. We had 66 assaults all told by the time I got through playing him. The murders were interesting. I think several of those were from the Civil War. One was Numbnuts, whatever his name is, his house Carl, killed somebody, and
Okay.
he was just horror-stricken by the whole thing and paid the fine for that anyway. One was going across the bridge in Winterhold when he thought that it was another one of the hunters coming after him, or one of the anomalies coming up, the magic anomalies that you have to shoot down. I thought that it was one of those and fired, and it turned out to be just one of the standard mages coming across the bridge. So that was a bad murder. The others, I think, had to have been part of the Civil War, because he generally was a good guy.
And basically your punishment was donating septims.
Yep. Because I couldn't think of anything else that really worked and that was going to be easy to keep track of.
Yeah. True.
So he had to hustle to make money so that he could keep up with this stuff.
Okay.
But he did that. He did alchemy and sold potions and looted stuff.
Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, finish your sentence because
I don't know what I was going to say. So
okay,
I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's okay.
But because what I've seen, what I was thinking is interesting is that lying was one of your rules.
Yes. So, well, good guys
and you broke
generally.
You broke it.
Tell the truth. Had to do it because one of the Radiant quests that he did, for what's his name at the college?
Okay.
Oh, jeepers! I just lost his name. Our archivist at the college. One of his Radiant quests was go find a book in a cave in Bruma. So I had to get into the Bruma mod somehow, and he either had to work his way through the Serpent's Trail, which he had no way to know about at that point, okay, or he had to lie to make his way across the border in the normal way, and he wasn't going to lie. He wasn't going to kill the guards at the border gate, so he said, yeah, I'm part of the Legion. And oddly enough, he was later part of the Legion, but at the time, he wasn't. So he ended up saying, well, I had to do it. I had to lie. I'm going to donate the 1,000 septims to the Temple of Mara, I think it was. So, there are a lot of places in his save file that have excess coins in strange containers because, I didn't really have a way to do it except go find a chest and plop some septims in there, and that's what I did.
Yeah, and I realized sometimes it's not as easy because when you want to, sometimes it counts as a stealing when you put something in containers. Yep. This is a strange mechanic.
It is. He had to make sure that he was well hidden in order to leave behind the money, but that's what we did. Trying to think what else was interesting with him. The not picking up or doing anything with plants was what he did best, but a couple of times there were instances where he was looting a body and like a necromancer attacked him or something, and I'd just loot the body and then realized that the necromancer had a mountain flower on him, or tundra cotton or some darn thing, and it's darn it, and so I drop it just as soon as I got a hold of it. I was kind of thinking along the same lines as what we did with the snowberry. What I always remember as the snowberry challenge. For the Unbound project, that it was poisonous to him in the same way that gold was poisonous to everybody in that challenge. So he dropped them immediately.
The point is, this was with gold, I think. Was it with gold?
Yes, it was.
It was something like this. How did you start yours? Did you plan out the base character, or did you start with a random start? From something?
That's a good question. I had actually played Orlus for a while before I decided to use him for this challenge, and I restarted him.
Okay.
And I think, if I remember correctly, the first time that I started him, I used a random start, and he ended up near Dawnstar. So when I restarted him, I started him there on purpose so that I could kind of replicate what I had done
Okay.
with him. And his basic thing was to help people. So we did the quest with the skull, not Patema, Vermina. We went up and I helped them so that they could all get a good night's sleep, and all of the other things. I went and killed Movarth in his lair, that kind of stuff. And everywhere he went, he would say, sure. I mean, and I always picked the dialogue option that was the nicest guy sounding option out of the possibilities. That's how we ended up doing things that were pretty odd, like going into Coldhaven and ending up being a member of one of the vampire houses. He's not a vampire. He would never be a vampire. But they asked for help, and so he helped them. And part of that mod is set up to... the dialogue there says, yeah, we do business with mortals as well as vampires. Just be careful, because some of the residents down here might be hungry, so you have to be careful. But so it wouldn't really seem like something that he would do, but he did end up being, I called him an honorary member. I suppose if he had turned vampire, he would then have those buffs. But I don't know that for sure because I never did it.
Yeah.
Because he was a good guy.
So simply doesn't matter for whom, but helping.
Yes, pretty much. I mean, it was helping as long as he didn't have to do something that otherwise went against his code of conduct.
Yeah, so for example, helping Brynjolf is...
Yeah, he ignored Brynjolf. He completely ignored Brynjolf. Kind of gave him...
Must have been hard for you.
No, I've had several characters that have kind of given him the hairy eyeball and said, "You've got to be kidding me, right? I'm not doing this." But, but it does make me laugh, when I do that, because it's like, I want to help you, but I'm going to help you in another lifetime here.
Another life, yeah.
But, but no, he ignored Brynjolf and found out about the place in the Ratway that he needed to go from Kurava instead.
Okay.
Going into the inn, it's like, and she says, yeah, if I was trying to hide out, the Ratway's where I'd be, and so, like, good, I don't have to talk to the sleazy redhead in the corner. After all, I'll just go down. But yeah, that's always fun for me.
And so, since you started him off from a character you already know, you were aware from the beginning that he will be Dragonborn, or is this also... Was this
actually I didn't... that was random. I had no idea whether he'd be Dragonborn or not.
Okay.
But when I originally set him up, I just said, let's do a Bosmer, and let's make him random. And he came up Dragonborn.
Okay. And did the Dragonborn thing influence his way in the good guy way a lot, would you say?
Not really. Except that, I figured he would gravitate toward that because the idea was saving the world.
Yeah.
And, how much more of a good guy can you be than somebody who's going to save the world from destruction? So, that it played into the character well, but...
Yeah, for sure. Also, this is something I'm thinking. Quick reminder for the chat, if anyone has a question or something, please just write in front of your thing, question, so I don't oversee it. But anytime you have any question for the concept we're talking about. So Orlas had quite a good... you put a lot of time in it, it looks
I
like.
really did. And yeah, it's the other thing I did with him that I don't usually do is he went back and forth a lot between places.
Okay.
He played a little bit in Beyond Reach and then came back and did a little bit on Solstheim and then went back and did a little more of the main quest and, you know, back and forth, which made it a whole lot less repetitive than it might otherwise have been. Must love a character to put that much... I love all my characters, you know. I forget that I've got my NPCs for my main story stationed at places around the world. And so when he went to the College of Winterhold, Calaman was there. Calaman is now the Archmage in my story, but there he was, and I knew he was going to have to do part of the college anyway, so I decided to think of it as though it was a slightly altered version of my story, and maybe this was a guy who came and helped Calaman get settled in as Archmage in between things that we see in the story. I don't know, it doesn't really make any sense, but that was what I went around with him for a while. I was really surprised and pleased by what a massive combination they were. And he didn't start off as being necessarily a mage, but all of the people he traveled with were mages too.
Okay.
And what brought him to become the Jarl of Hjalmarch? He was helping people. He was helping people and then got called. I mean, he was, in my mind, he was just kind of a slightly dim-witted nice guy. And I say dim-witted, not that he was stupid, but that he didn't necessarily think ahead about these things. But it was like, oh, can you help us out? Sure. You know, like the guy wandering around Solitude says, this is what you do, right? You help people. Can you help me out? And he'd say, oh, sure. What can I do? And so he ends up, you know, going and doing the Potema stuff and killing off, yes, Orlas the Golden Retriever, just like that. I'm a good dog, you know? I'm a very good dog. Let me fetch your evil vampire for you. And so that's how he ended up being Jarl of Hjalmarch, was he helped people. And then when he got... What?
You by accident, basically.
Not basically,
planned
he just stumbled into everything he did. And he thought, oh, I can build a house. This is great. And that was another moment of kind of angst for me in terms of trying to figure out, was this a good thing for a good guy to do? Because he's green-packed, and the houses are built of wood. So I did a fair amount of research into that and realized that, okay, they will buy and use wood that somebody else has already harvested because it's already dead. We'll use it. And so he and Numbnuts, he will forever be Numbnuts to me because that was what TheWynd called him. They built the house, and then he did pretty much the second half of his adventuring with him, Valdemar. And so I thought I had missed something huge. So yeah, they did the rest of the adventuring together and taking care of their house and failing to get the fish hatchery working properly and all that kind of things.
Yeah, the wood thing is debatable anyway, because there's the debate if the pact would include Skyrim anyway, because it's mainly for whaling wood.
Right.
This is a lot of debate anyway. I researched a lot of Green Pact stuff in the past too.
Yeah.
This is
And I've never been one to really worry too much about the lore, but because this was my idea and he was supposed to be a good guy, I spent a fair amount of time reading up on it and saying, okay, yeah, this is allowable. We will do this. So he took a great deal of pleasure in filling the library of his house with books. That was the other thing that was interesting to me, because I had not run across it before, was the idea of the spinners. The is that what they're called? The spinners of Euphrae, who are lore keepers and storytellers.
Yeah.
And that was and they're considered kind of holy people, apparently, by the Green Pact. And that was what he really wanted to do with his life.
Okay.
But couldn't, because they are located in one spot and they stay there. And of course, that wouldn't be very exciting for gameplay. So he interpreted it as doing the book-related quests. Every book-related quest he could get his hands on, which is how he ended up in the college and going to places that required him to lie to get past the border and all of that kind of thing.
But staying in one place as a spinner would save you a lot of money.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, he would have been like 77,000 septims richer if he hadn't. And by the time I got to the Civil War, it was like, my goodness, this character has lasted longer than most that I've played, and his save game is starting to have glitches in it, and we're just going to use some of this vast amount of money that we have accumulated to get the Stormcloaks off our back. And that's what I did.
Yeah, so in the end, he stumbled a lot into his good deeds, I would say.
He did. He was more like trying as best he could to avoid doing a bad deed.
Yeah.
But kind of trying out everything that he was asked to try out, to the extent that it didn't violate some major tenet.
As you got a bit interrupted there, also the profession of becoming mage, mainly destruction mage.
Yes.
He stumbled basically into it.
Yeah, pretty much. And it was useful in fighting dragons. So, you know.
Had a good point.
Yep.
So you had a lot of fun with it sounds.
I really did.
Will you play him again?
Will I play him again? No, probably not. Probably not him. The first time I played him was while I was trying valiantly to come up with an idea for the Amnesia challenge. But the truth of the matter is that I will never have a better Amnesia story in me than the one I wrote for Andante. So I played Orlus for a while instead and developed the idea of a good guy challenge while that was going on.
All right.
So it was ready to roll as soon as you pulled my name. You know, I knew what I was going to do.
Yeah, you told already, and then you already knew, and you are satisfied with the result for yourself.
Yes, it was a great deal of fun. I mean, I would have
Excellent.
preferred not having him have 66 assaults on his record, but you know, you do what you must in times of war, I guess.
Yeah, sometimes you have no other choice.
Yep.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so from the submissions, we have one more video. Khan did a lot of talk on his stream. I think we will not play the whole part from the stream, but as always, we will invite people who did a concept, and we talked before. I know EJ has a submission in video form. Khan has his whole quote from the stream. Magus basically used Merrick, his long series, as the good guy. And we have TheWynd with her good girl. Sadly not here, but maybe she joins later. Who knows? Who knows? So, who do we want to hear next about his adventure? We should almost roll it. Or let's simply... Yeah, it would probably be, but I think I forgot to set up the audios for this scene, but this is something I can do easily on this side. Maybe let's do this, yeah. Then maybe, yeah, let's go next with Khan's. I will switch to the other theme. Khan, do you have time to join us for the possibility? Then I would change the scene. Give me a short second to add the correct audio sources, and we can look into it. Oh no, it seems I have them already. I did not forget. Nice. I think I see a Karen in our chat, voice chat here.
Oh yeah, can you hear
I
me?
do. Yes.
Yeah, we
Alright.
can hear you. Hello, hello. And we have running Khan's part of the stream where he showed us and talked a lot about the amazingly good-looking guy.
I love the way he looks. I get a chuckle every time I see him, actually.
Yeah, I think the look is hard to create, but amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a fair amount of Schadenfreude to elicit a chuckle from that face, but
Indeed.
So yeah, would you give us maybe we know there is a lot more of it, but maybe a short, some short sentences, 2-3 minutes or so. What's going on about him, just for everyone who didn't watch it?
So the whole concept for this guy, I was trying to implement the phrase "turn the other cheek." So he takes a lot of abuse, but he does so for the good of humankind. His backstory very quickly was that he was a former Thalmor justiciar, or like a seeker, somebody who goes out and finds Thalmor worshippers and roots them out and punishes them to the full extent of Thalmor law. But he got into a heated argument with Heimskr in Whiterun, and I guess Whiterun is still kind of technically, officially disputed territory between the Thalmor, or between the Empire and the Stormcloaks, because they do allow Talos worship there, at least currently, when you start the game. And he ended up getting so mad at Heimskr because the guy is just a stubborn block of Talos worship that he swung his mace at the shrine of Talos. And lo and behold, there was a bolt of lightning from the sky and knocked him unconscious, and he was sent into a coma for probably a good week. And during that coma, he got several messages from what he, assumed was Talos, confirming to him that, he was wrong this whole time. Talos is real. And now it's his job, it's his lot in life to repent for those sins and try to help make up for all of the terrible things that he did in the past. So yeah, he takes a lot of beatings. He is supposed to turn the other cheek every single time. He goes around trying to help humans. He takes a lot of human followers and tries to do their bidding and help them thrive and reach the status that is laid out by their fates, as Talos has determined. And just generally siding with humans over elves, I think. But I think what the biggest part of this was actually Strudel's challenge of coming up with all the different gameplay rules, and that was the funnest part for me. Once I had it, I was like, okay, this is gonna be fun.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was probably the bigger reason of choosing the Altmer, aside from the backstory, the whole Thalmer thing, was to get access to the contingency racial power by Imperius. Because it has the ability to randomly cast spells at any interval once you have it active. And so the punishment aspect of this was that, if he ever killed a human in any situation whatsoever, even if he got attacked by a human bandit and was just defending himself, then the punishment mode kicked in. And that was assigning, as I'm trying to show off here, but the game's just not cooperating with me, assigning the spell Wither to trigger randomly in some kind of 30 to 60 minute cooldown interval. And he would have to do that for 24 hours. And what that does, the Wither spell doesn't do any damage. It just slows down whoever you hit with it. But it does trigger aggression, and it triggers aggression from anybody who is allied with the person that you cast with it, or that you cast it against. So randomly in dialogue with any NPC in any kind of city, that thing might trigger like it did just there, and now everybody's after poor Orsachar here, and he's scrambling to get away. So if he kills another human in self-defense, he's got another 24 hours. That timer is going to restart. So the best thing he can do is just, run away. So yeah, once that 24 hours is complete, then he can disable contingency, and rejoin society, as it were. But then he's got to, pay any bounties occurred, usually just the 40 from an attack, not a murder in most cases. But yeah, that was the basis of his play. That was kind of the whole thing in a nutshell there.
That's really cool.
An interesting idea of punishment, basically.
Yeah, I really wanted something that manifested in the game that had some kind of a tangible effect that I could pull off using game mechanics, just to kind of bridge the gap between making shit up and having something actually happen in the game.
Right? Yeah. Making shit up was what I did.
Yeah, and that works definitely, and I've done plenty of that for sure, and have had great results from it. But this I was trying to take it to the next level with this one, and I think I achieved it. Poor Orsachar, look at him.
So his starting off was pretty much planned as the beat up guy.
Oh yeah, that was the whole concept from the beginning. I started with the punishment aspect first. So the only way to get this to work was with the Altmer contingency thing, because that's the only way I know of without using like a smart cast or something like that with tons of configurability. that was the only thing I knew of in my current load order that could trigger things randomly, even out of combat. So that's where I started was Altmer contingency. What can I do with the punishment? And then from there, I was like, okay, what causes the punishment mode to kick in, and then came up with the backstory and what his motives and everything going forward would be.
Basically in reverse, working from the punishment to what triggers it and so on.
Yep, reverse engineered for sure.
Yeah, that's great. So what kinds of things did he do while you were playing him?
Well, one of the first things that he did was when he visited Riverwood, and then of course you always got to do the Bleak Falls thing and all that. He sided with Sven because Feindal is an elf and Sven is a human. But then, just taking Sven with me through Bleak Falls to kind of get him over his, I wouldn't say he's a coward, but he's a bard, right? So that there's something to be said about that. Just for him to kind of find his honor and strength, I think that would be something that Talos would look kindly upon. So I took him through Bleak Falls after siding with him in the whole Camilla triangle thing with Feindal. And that was probably sort of the theme for everything. There was a lot of making stuff up. But yeah, another thing was probably trying to side with the Stormcloaks, which is what I was trying to do here. was pledge myself to Ulfric, but the punishment stuff kicked in and I got ran out of town. But he did go back eventually and joined up with the Stormcloaks. And that's why he had Zora and Hyoromir with him, was because he was recruiting them for the Stormcloak cause, and eventually he was going to leave them there and move on to see who else he could help. And that's kind of the running theme. It would cycle on that kind of thing. Indefinitely, I think.
More of a recruiter for the Stormcloaks.
Yeah, in this phase of his play. Right.
Interesting.
And that actually presents an interesting conundrum. I mean, the Empire was founded by Tiber Septim, who became Talos, right? So it's like trying to decide what would Talos favor better, the Stormcloaks or the Imperials? Because the Stormcloaks are trying to preserve Talos' existence, and the Empire was basically what Tiber Septim created and his entire legacy for the most part. So I don't know.
That's always what would Talos do?
Yeah, exactly.
That's always the really interesting meaty part of that whole conflict to me, is that, both sides can be seen as doing the right thing.
Right.
So which one is the good side? Who knows?
Exactly. I think we all know who the bad side is, but defining who... I would say that the Empire and the Stormcloaks are on the same side. It's just a difference of opinion on how to get the results they're both looking for.
Yep.
I also think this is an endless debate. What is there good and bad and...
Oh yeah, I've seen actual, in real life arguments about whether or not the Stormcloaks or the Imperials were right. And I always get a chuckle out of that, but...
Yeah, and I think this is also fitting nicely in the whole theme of the good guy. So what character sees as good.
Yep.
Because like we said in the beginning, the definition of good can be so big and so subjective. Especially, I think.
Yeah,
and I really took that to heart too, because it's like there's little defined bad about somebody who just absorbs punishment and never retaliates, I think. So that was part of it, I think, for me.
Yeah, the answer to the question of who are the good guys is yes. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's no really fine answer to it.
Yeah, I guess my thoughts on it, my feelings is I'm left in the I don't know camp. I can see the good points on both sides, but I tend to side with whatever character I'm playing feels about it at the time.
Did you play him exclusively offline or in stream?
Mostly offline. I think he only got to like level 6 or something like that. As the world opens back up, the wife and I have been pretty socially active. I think trying to make up for lost time with friends and family and stuff like that. And work has been busy and everything. So my playtime has been with other characters. But I'm really looking forward to giving this guy another serious go at it once some other characters are happily up on the shelf and sort of concluded.
Yeah, your main series on stream is still the permadeath stuff.
Yeah, which does take a lot of preparation. I do actually practice. It doesn't always show when I die, but I do practice certain areas ahead of time and practice with the gameplay style that I've chosen and everything. Yeah. And I'm always looking to improve that stream, make it more of an event, more of a show. And I'm hoping some of that stuff will show in the coming streams. But yeah, the other part of it is that I have another long running character, the Shadow Warrior that I kind of showed off earlier in the stream too, that has been taking most of my offline Skyrim time as well, because I want to kind of do a little video series on that as well. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. The challenge itself for me was coming up with the gameplay rules. But now that I have that sort of template and blueprint to play, I can play it at any time, and I'm actually really looking forward to it.
That's really amazingly clever. I mean, that's one of those things that I sat here and thought, well, what could I do that would be like that, and could not come up with anything. So I was really impressed by.
I thought long and hard about it, and that really was the only thing that I could come up with that wasn't, just trying to do a self-imposed get rid of some gear or some gold or debuff the character somehow. Yeah, and it's frantic when that thing fires off and everybody's chasing after you at higher difficulty levels. It's like my face becomes Orsachar's face in real life.
So,
we got a question.
Oh, it's an unrelated question. Have you tested Ghost?
Unrelated question. Ghost Walk with Ozra's Wrath. I have not tested that out yet. I am looking forward to getting back into that though.
Okay. So you from the idea, from the rule set, you had a blast with it. It sounds.
I did. I had a lot of fun. Again, my time was limited with it, but I had so much fun with it that it's next on my queue of the invisible list of things to do in Skyrim that I'm always keeping in my head.
the endless list of things to do.
Yeah, it never ends. I mean, yeah, Starfield's coming next year, and I'll probably switch to that. But I will never, probably never stop playing Skyrim. I don't know about when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, but that's a long ways away. But I kind of imagine in some way or another, I will always be playing this game.
I think a lot of us.
Yeah, probably.
And I
mean, it's been 10 years now, right? And we still haven't stopped playing. Well, maybe not all of us have started playing from launch, but a lot of us have, and we haven't stopped yet.
This is true. And also, I think you told us last time already, if you get picked today, you already have an idea?
I do.
So, we will see at the end. Not a lot of people are left.
Yeah. So the the likelihood of me getting chosen increases.
Yeah.
With that.
We will see how much luck you have.
Oh, I also forgot to mention where Orsitar's name came from too. Orsi, I think, is the Aldmeris name for what's the name? What's the word? No, I'm blanking. Starts with a P. The outcast. It's what the orcs are. It's what Malakath is the Daedric Lord of. Why do I blank on these words so much?
Ryan?
Pariah. It is pariah. Wow. Somehow things just leave your brain and you got to really search for them. Yeah, so Orsi is pariah and Char is man. So he is the pariah of man.
Cool.
Kind of proud of that name too.
Yeah, that's really cool.
This is cool, and like you often, most of the time, too, a lot of thought went into it again with the backstory, and you looked up a lot of things again. I would say, sounds like
the thought process is kind of my favorite part about these challenges too. Is laying in bed or in the shower or driving somewhere in your car. When your mind wanders, it's kind of fixated on okay, what am I going to do with this character? And that's some of my favorite stuff about these challenges.
Yeah. All right. Any other question? Riddle, do you have a question for Khan or anyone on the stream?
Not really a question, just a observation that I hope we will get to see this guy in action again at some point.
Absolutely. I do have more plans for him, video series and things like that. But yeah, he did not get his due for sure. Yeah, and I would love to give that to him.
We want to see if if it's able to beat him even more up.
Yes, exactly. It's like the randomness of it. I mean, suddenly, everybody's after you, and you don't really know what you're going to do. It's great.
I don't know if I can make him any more beat up than he is right now. Maybe try to remove some skin, or a permanent on fire effect, maybe.
All right, then thank you for joining in. Thank you for making
no problem. Thank you for having me.
As always. And let us see. We have some others to talk about. All right, but I think I need to quickly go to the bathroom, to be honest.
So we will take a break.
We will take, or do you want to entertain the people for 2
I'm
minutes or so?
not very entertaining.
All right, then give us about 2 minutes or so, and quickly. I already have here 1 liter of water or so I'm drinking a lot here. Okay, we are back very quickly. we're back here. So, I've seen in the chat, we want to hear how Merrick is a really good guy. So, Magus, do you have a bit of a moment or so, some minutes, to join us in here too? And tell us a bit about Merrick.
Hey there.
Hey,
Hello,
there
Magus.
you are.
Audio's okay. You guys can hear me?
Yep.
We can hear you fine. Can the stream hear you too? I hope so. Maybe.
Let me turn off my let me turn off YouTube there. Okay, just so I have the. There was an echo. That was my fault.
Yeah, it would be the echo, but it would only be on your side usually.
Yeah.
I can bring up one of your recordings of this too. To have it on the side running. Right into a loading screen. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
many of them.
Merrick was a pretty long series for you.
Yeah, he was the most. He was probably the most stable. Now I'd already started. Merrick had been. I want to say probably
Sweeping with nothing.
7 to 10 episodes in when the challenge was done, or maybe 5. I don't know. But I had obvious plans for him. From what you guys have all seen. And I didn't really have another option for changing some mods around based on having like such a massive setup, but I tried to work with what I had. So,
maybe, sorry to interrupt you. Maybe you can give us like Kant did, so 1 or 2 minutes, a very quick overview for people who didn't see it or something like this. Who Merrick is.
He's not going to look like a good guy, though. By any means.
So who is Merrick?
So he is an Imperial treasure hunter. Relic hunter, I guess, is how the game would probably describe him, but I've always gone with treasure hunter. It just seems like relics would fall into that category of, the broader overview of what one person would consider a treasure. So, when the challenge was laid down, I had to change some of the way that I thought about how he may or may not go about doing certain things that were already in my setup, which sometimes can be difficult, but sometimes you just kind of do things on the fly and it either works or it doesn't, or you get a really awkward scene. We'll take very early on with Brynjolf in the Thieves Guild. So if you're traditionally playing the game, you already know the quest line. I'm assuming everybody in here knows that quest line like the back of their hands.
Yeah.
But if you're talking in terms of how he was, quote unquote, a good guy, Brynjolf needed help with something. He didn't know what at the time. I think I'd already done this, but I'm going to kind of lead with that and then say, we'll go back to as if the challenge was laid down before I'd started him.
So these are parts you did before the challenge was laid out already.
Yeah, I'd already had several 4+ hour streams. Like I said, probably 5 to 10 maybe. But that was probably the first. Now he initially arrived via ship to Solitude because of a letter he received from his friend Orion for the museum, and that's initially how I was going to play the character, as just a pure relic hunter, and whichever choices he decided to make along the way, I was just hoping that I would get something out there that would be enjoyable for people to watch. With the challenge, it made it a little more interesting, where I would now have to think about, am I going to make the right decision that's going to benefit not just him, because he's still all about, benefiting himself and wealth and other things. But like I said, with the example of, say, like Brynjolf in the beginning, very early on as well, Brynjolf needed help with something. He didn't know what it was, but with the challenge, it's like, all right, well, I'll give you a hand, and we'll see what happens. And obviously, he didn't know. Merrick didn't know. I'm doing air quotes over here.
Right.
That it was to steal a ring and frame somebody. But still, it was still helping somebody that asked him for assistance. So that would be number one. Is it necessarily good? That depends on your version of good. To Merrick, he thinks it's good because he's helping a complete stranger. Also, he always gave money to the beggars. Always.
Okay.
Like, even throughout the whole play, that was always going to be a thing that I knew I was going to do with him. And kind of a little side note that I think those of you that were in the stream towards the end, or maybe the middle to the end, saw was that we actually wound up adopting 2 children. Not something your average thief scoundrel would do.
This is true.
Can't say that he would be the best father figure, but he did leave them in very competent hands of Lydia, who is in fact the true Dragonborn. That's really not debatable, because she's just it's just geared up that way. But she was basically put on, permanent babysitting duty. And he did stop back from time to time to give them gifts and money and toys and new clothes and things like that. All of my characters are Dragonborn for a reason. This actually fit in really well with helping to rid the world of these large beasts that are just wreaking havoc across the entire province. Once he discovered this power, obviously it benefits him greatly, which is obviously the selfish part of it. But at the same time, it's also helping those people he doesn't even know, or people that probably don't even like him. So in terms of morality, he probably toes that line, and it's a very thin line. But if he's able to take down a dragon to, for selfish reasons, absorb the soul for more power, but at the same time it spared the lives, he was okay with that.
So more the shady type of good guy.
Yeah, you could say. I mean, if you compare to, say, I don't even know if Batman's the right one to compare him to in terms of stuff like that, because there's a little more
kind
justice
of, yeah.
felt out. But he did, yeah. And that was his thing. Vampirism. I knew I was going to wind up doing that eventually.
Like Khan says, I think the key part of this is Merrick is trying to be good.
He could be, yeah. I mean, try. I can't
good.
I can't say he succeeded necessarily with the attempts, but try, yeah. Yeah, Karn's right with that.
Well, he was very good as a vampire. I mean, he was a very good vampire.
He was just, if you put it in the simplest terms, he was a very, very good character. Hands down, he was a damn good character.
Yeah.
But then if you think of other things too, obviously the Dawn Guard and the whole vampire quest line, it's what are we giving up to receive power? But at the same time, we're also trying to stop somebody who's just plain old ruthless in Harkin, which we did. We did. I mean, either way, that's the way the quest line ends. But at the same time, you could join the Dawn Guard and be completely self-righteous in your thought. But at the same time, a vampire, him and Serana, for a good portion of the journey, were looking for a way to just stop her father from his thoughts, his ambitions, clouding the world, blotting the sun out. letting vampires, run amok doing whatever.
Yeah.
I had to sit there and think that, it probably wouldn't be. I mean, Valericus says it best. It would basically start a war with all of Tamriel, not just Skyrim, because that having access to Oriel's bow. If Harkon used it, it wouldn't stop with just Skyrim. He would expand his power very, very easily.
And I think Serana herself is a character you can debate if she's more good than evil, I would say.
I think Serana's more good than evil. She's
she has the greater picture in the mind than only this one thing.
She had a very unfair shake of it in life. Based off of, her lore, how long she was locked up. She didn't have a choice in the ceremony. She didn't have a choice with Dim Hollow Crypt. The only time she ever had a choice was when she met Merrick. And, he gave her a choice. He could have been a complete ass to her if he wanted to, but at the same time saw the benefit of having a vampire who didn't automatically try to rip his throat out, and also wanted to prevent, everlasting night, even though it benefits him greatly. He found ways around it, and I think that's part of a person's character and inner strength. You're put a roadblock up, or there's some struggle put in front of you, and it's obviously good for somebody else, but it's not good for literally everybody else. He was able to overcome all that, and that part ended with Harkon's defeat, him taking over as the Lord of the Castle, and they rebuilt it. I think under his guy, and I wish this is, something else that would further that storyline along, where they rebuilt it, where obviously there's human cattle there, and, that also toes the line of morality, but at the same time, that's just part of the game mechanic. There's really nothing that can be done about it. Which is why I didn't visit the castle as often as I normally would have had the challenge not been going on. I think I would have been back there more often. But we kind of just, left it in the hands of Garen Moretti, who's basically the second in command, because we all know that both Orthioth and Vinghalmo were sitting there, pulling each other's pud, trying to get
That's a great way to put it.
And Garen's the one that you get most of the major quests from anyway. He's the first one you talk to. He's the one that tells you that Lord Harkon wants to speak with you. He's really the number 2, and he would have been Merrick's number 2. Also, if you want to move a little further along into his story, taking down Mercer because of what he did to Gallus, and obviously meeting Carlia for the first time. He had no idea what was coming with that. He didn't know, he just thought that this person named Carlia, once he found her name out, was in charge of, the Golden Glow job, buying Hunting Brew, or funding it at least. And then when Mercer told him about, she's the one that also killed Gallus, he had nothing else to go on besides that, and thinking, all right, well, I'm a part of this guild. We're looking to rebuild, and I'm helping these people out, and I'm also using helping in air quotes here because it's Thieves Guild questline. To have that turnaround at Snowvale, where obviously Mercer betrays you, and then it just becomes a matter of Carlia's revenge, and basically to set the guild straight. That we finished that. I feel like that was something, because had Mercer continued to lead or possibly escape, nobody knows what he'd be capable of with the skeleton key. That's also helping the people of at least Skyrim, if not all of Tamriel. Even though Mercer's a lesser figure than most of the major bosses, but to me it still counted as for the greater good.
Absolutely.
And the same could be said for Mirak too. I mean, once we made it to Solstheim, there was an abundance of people that needed help. From the second you get off the boat, people are looking for help. It's a rundown, like Raven Rock is run down. The mines are dried up. There's just a ton of stuff going on. Mirak's behind it. Well, what better way to? And that was, by the way, that was probably one of my favorite battles to do. That Mirak battle. If you guys caught that,
was awesome. That was.
I know,
just
Strudel,
great.
you were there for that.
Yeah,
I
that was
absolutely
terrific.
enjoyed that. I had no deaths in that. I came close, but I didn't die. We managed to kill him. However, had I been able to install certain mods before that, I think what I would have done differently is probably turned on Hermaeus Mora and saved Mirak. Because if you're thinking in terms of, Mirak was power hungry, but at the same time, he had his hand shackled by Mora. To be able to break him free and watch him repent, and I know that's pretty much what he does, even though Mirak stays arrogant afterwards as a follower. I would have absolutely added that in. We would have spared him, and we would have made him repent for what he
Give him a
did.
redemption arc.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing with, people talk about like what they should do with the blades or Parthenax. Unfortunately, I didn't get that far. I would have liked to, because that would have added another dynamic. What do we do with Parthenax? Do we let him live? He is a dragon. That probably would have been the hardest decision, not necessarily at that. Well, probably the whole game. He very well could have killed Parthenax. I really think I was leaning that way myself. I never do that, by the way. I absolutely love party snacks. But I think Merrick might have actually, rid the world of also Parthenax, even though Parthenax did help him, but he's also committed atrocities. It's hard to trust a dragon. It really is, especially when you see all the destruction that Alduin had done from the onset of when Merrick encountered him for the first time. But it would have been very interesting to see how both him and Mirak would have dealt with Alduin.
Yeah.
That's something I was really trying to lead to, but we didn't get that far. So
Did you put any play rules in play at some point?
Just rules to give money to the beggars, make sure the children were taken care of. We adopted Lucia and Sophia, or Sophie. I'm sorry, Sophie, Lucia and Sophie. So some rules with them, and they're very, very minor. It was just check back in. We made sure that Lydia. I actually gave Lydia a really good amount of money because Merrick had something over like 500,000 septums. If you guys weren't keeping track of it, and I wasn't for a long time, but at that point we gave her about 100,000 septums.
Didn't realize he was quite that wealthy, but
Yeah.
wow.
Oh yeah. He had a lot. He had a lot of accumulated wealth. And that's just monetarily. That's not including all the things that he was also helping Orion do, and trying to get the Explorers Guild going. Things that I would have liked to, and I really, really, absolutely wanted to start Worm's Tooth. That is going to be something I'm doing soon, with a different character. So, maybe not for a challenge, but for just a regular character. Because Sterling, you mentioned it in one of the streams, and I had every intention of doing it, and we're setting up again to go back and do that. So it'll be back in there.
Yeah,
New character though.
EJ says that he's a baddish guy turned good. You didn't, and then this is a cool dude. You didn't see a lot of the streams, I don't think, but Merrick was a solid, well-developed, rounded out character. I thought one of the best I've seen.
Thank you.
Except for the Serana mod.
Yeah.
Which Karn asked about a little while ago, and the answer to that question is no. But everything about Merrick was just a delight to watch and very enjoyable.
Yeah, the answer to that is definitely no. I didn't even really intend. I'd never used the full breadth of that mod either. When her original dialogue edits came out, it was nothing like that. She had added lines. I never got to like the romance option, and I know with other mods you add in there, it gets a little more explicit, and the black screen thing doesn't happen. If you get what I'm saying.
Yes.
So I had to kind of keep it as friendly as I could. But at the same time, it also does allow him to, if he were to potentially at the end of his questing start a family, it would have been with Serana. He already adopted 2 children, and based on his dialogue with her, she was totally devoted to him. Whereas in vanilla, she's really not. If you revert her to a human, she really doesn't like it. She still uses her life drain, which I think is something Bethesda again forgot to do, and it was never patched. But she kind of resents you for that. She would rather stay as a vampire, which is why I've never. I can't say never. I cured her once back on my Xbox days, but never again, just because I didn't like the way she looked without the vampire eyes and the face and the face tint, the makeup, and everything like that. But yeah, the added lines put on once these mods started to get updated surprised even me, and not a lot surprises me. And I'm like, okay, so now we can do this. We can romance her. Thank God I don't have these other mods installed because,
Yeah, that wouldn't have been family friendly. I don't.
No. Even with the 18 plus, I think Twitch would have been like, see you later. But I really agree, and I thank you, Strudel, because I felt he was so well rounded. He could go from mortal to lord form. He was more powerful in his mortal form, believe it or not, and most vampires and vampire lords are, no matter how many mods you have in to I guess like push that lord threshold higher. Even with Sacrosanct, he was still stronger in his mortal form. Kind of actually was a little refreshing. You can go around and take out bandits in lord form, but I still had to be careful because a couple well-placed arrows and you revert from a lord form with just enough health that it takes your health down, and then you expire. That's it. You have to be very careful with it.
Yeah, and vampire is kind of your thing, so you know a lot about this vampire stuff.
Yeah, I've always really, like I said, I've always enjoyed them. I know Strudel enjoys a good vampire character,
absolutely.
Which is why I was so happy, Strudel, that you were in the majority of the streams. If not, you're in almost most of them, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And I all I cared about at that point was I had to make sure that he was doing things that would, since the challenge was laid down, if somebody needed help, he would try to help them as best he could. Not going to say that it didn't lead to some frustration, and some people ended up lifeless. And Merrick has no idea how that happened. But I mean, he did his best, and morality in terms of a vampire, I guess, is subjective. But I think
you have to survive, right?
Yeah,
there's only one way to do that. So
that's very true. And even with turning of certain individuals into to vampires, once I was able to use that ability as I ranked higher up in the vampire hierarchy, so to speak, when you become an elder or a master elder, I think it's called, elder something, which is basically the last one that Sacrosanct allows. But right before that, it gives you the ability to change an NPC into a vampire. They tended to be priests, and my thought process with this was that if mortal form, if they were just mortal form, if they had stayed human or elf, they still have an expiration date. Turning them vampires allows them to carry on their preachings, their beliefs, their thoughts, pass it on to more people indefinitely. Obviously, you can still die as a vampire, but his thought process was, all right, well, say Danica, for example. Once we did enough training with her and she couldn't do any more, we wound up turning her. And that allows her to maintain Whiterun's Temple of Kinnereth indefinitely. Same thing with, I think, did we do it with Heimskr or did we just drain him dry? I don't remember. I think I turned him. Nazim we killed. Nazim wasn't very nice.
Nazim always deserves that, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought about it with Heimskr, but I'm like, at the same time, he's preaching of Talos, so it kind of made sense to give him everlasting life, for him to go on annoying the people that enter Whiterun for all eternity, so to speak. But at the same time, he's getting his beliefs across. It's allowing him to preach, basically as long as he doesn't get his head lopped off.
Yep.
That's an interesting point of view.
It is.
It was the hardest part, I think, was having to change some of this, my personal style up with that. But I think an episode or two, which is 8-9 hours for about 2 of them, I got a little more familiar. And then you probably saw me using different spells. I'd use a calm spell when normally I would use a fury spell. And sometimes I would let an NPC live. I would just calm them just to rob them, but I wouldn't necessarily outright kill them.
But a lot of
whatever reason.
So a lot of these changes basically came from the challenge for you.
Yeah, a lot of them did. And it, like I said, the hard thing was because he'd already been started. I think we were level 12 plus, I think. When Surta laid the challenge down, so I'm like, okay, I don't have another backup character. I could start another character, but at the same time, the load order would have had to have been tweaked. I probably would have added Winter Sun, because if you guys don't remember, Winter Sun just wasn't a part of this. Mm-hmm. I never considered Merrick to be a devout of anybody. He would worship. He would obviously give, I guess offerings. If you consider praying at a shrine an offering, he didn't leave money, obviously, because he thought that was just a waste. Just like all religion, don't give them money. But he would still, ask for the blessing, and whether they granted it to him or not was up to them. But he used multiple deities for that, not necessarily just to benefit himself, but at the same time just to sort of pay respects to divines. Obviously, as a vampire, some of the Daedra, it really didn't matter. It just shows that you can respect more than just one belief system, and still kind of toe that line of questionable morality. I did tone the killing down. That probably didn't come across in the episodes because there was a lot of fighting and murder, but trust me, I toned it down by 80%. There would have been a lot more. We actually spared a lot of people. So
yeah, I was only able to watch some of the stuff on the record, but I feel like it was one of your most interesting stream series I've seen so far.
Thank you, Peter. Yeah,
but like I said, I was not able to watch everything.
I'd probably stay next to Atherlore. He was probably my favorite, and like I said, it was a close tie between those two because they were both old characters from vanilla Xbox days. We're talking 2011, 2012. I had these two characters. Obviously, the styles were different. There were no mods. I wasn't on a PC. Didn't have access to any of that stuff. It was before Special Edition. Merrick at the time was just a basic thief. He used a bow more often. He didn't have a sword. He actually used, daggers and bows, because that's what was viable. I like the fact that I wound up going with the sword with him. And magic has obviously changed, but yeah, between him and Athril, it was a close for just fun factor for me. And I mean, let's be honest, if we're sitting here playing and we're not having fun, the people that are going to watch aren't going to be having
Right.
fun either. So, and that's what I was
Right.
hoping for.
It worked.
Not much- yeah, thank you. Not much else to say about him, I guess.
Excellent.
fun.
Any more questions from the chat before we go forward?
All those epic level up EJs, yes.
This epic level up.
They will
Yeah.
continue. Don't worry, they will continue.
Level up.
Yeah, the next one is Cyrus. Is it to come?
So Cyrus's play, there were some issues with the setup. So I wound up working Cyrus, and then Ciaran, I was playing him recently, was a necromancer, and there was really nothing wrong with his play. But I wound up scrapping him again. I'm actually in the middle of redoing my load order. You guys see what the problem
Yeah.
I have here. If you know of like an AA version for Skyrim, please let me know. Because I'm about to do another 1100 mod setup.
Oh
I'm
no.
already at I'm at 600 right now just from today. So yeah.
Wow.
But I think you mentioned in the Discord that Cyrus would fit a bit more
Cyrus
in terms of morality.
He would have. Oh, absolutely, he would have. Absolutely, he would have. I had him. A character like him, you know, not the name and everything, not the look, but a character like him. I wanted to do a sword singer for a long, long time. I basically copied Merrick's profile, and then there were only a few things that I added in. Obviously, we had to put Winter Sun in for him. The problem was I wound up using a modified version of the Lexi Guide, which had been updated 3 times since. And when I went back to do the updates, some things had changed. There were several mods that were hidden, but they couldn't give the files out, so you just kind of had to have them or get them from somewhere. And I wasn't about to go asking somebody to commit mod theft so I could have a mod.
Okay.
So I wound up trying to build him. Actually, I feel like he looked really good. If you guys got to see pictures of him, I know I put some up. He looked really good. I was really happy with how he came out. I think I'm going to rebuild him. It's either going to be him or I may do a skull. I'm not really sure.
We can rebuild him and start
can rebuild
singing
him.
the $6 Million Man theme song. Sorry. We
And I
have the
guess-
technology.
I guess the other thing too would be whoever does the next challenge.
Yeah, could be
I
you
feel
too.
like I can adapt to it. Could be yeah. I mean, there's the chance.
Yeah.
I have a couple characters in mind. I also have several ideas, but I have to flesh them out. So I don't have anything concrete if I were picked
Yeah,
just right yet. But within a week, I could probably have something decent.
Yeah, we will see. We will see who will be picked. All right. Thank you for joining in.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks,
Thank you
Bayo.
for
Thank
doing
you,
this
Strudel.
nice thing.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
And have a nice rest of to watch. Hopefully.
I will. I'll be there. I'll see you guys.
Alrighty. This was quite a thing too. Yeah. Merrick.
Eric was great.
Can only recommend from what I've seen. I can only recommend watching it. And you have seen almost everything of him.
Almost all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty, so I think EJ we have open here. We have from EJ we have a submission for a short video clip. And as always, during watching the thing, hopefully you will join us. So
EJ, join us.
So let me jump to the video and set us on silence for this one.
Knowledge is power. If it wasn't, the Thalmor wouldn't work so hard to suppress it. They left me in this stinking hole to die. They couldn't stand that I'd learned the truth, that I'd read too much and gathered too many ideas. That I had begun speaking up against my own countrymen for what they were doing to the people of Elsewhere and Valenwood, and even to our own kind. The Thalmor don't like loudmouths or keen, cunning eyes. So of course they cut mine out. The ultimate insult to a devotee of Xerxes. Ah yes, Xerxes. Xerxes, the scribe of Magnus, who was just like Talos once. A mortal ascended. I suppose the Thalmor see our gods as different because we were once gods as well. The Aedra are our ancestors, paragons of virtue, beauty, and all that is good in this world. Have we not fallen from that ideal? Have we not besmirched our own ancestors' good names with this ruthless violence against our cousins the Bosma, and against the other beings with whom we share this world? Would Auriel himself not look down his nose at us for fearing, and I have learned enough to know that it is indeed fearing, a god who has done exactly what Xerxes also did? How exactly are our ancestors so different to the gods of men, I wonder? Are they not also descendants of gods? Of Lorcan, regardless of his status? Of course, they don't like anyone thinking like that, least of all their brethren. To hear such heresy from the mouth of one of their own? What an affront to their oppressive regime. And so they took my sight, left me scarred and blind and nearly naked in this damn mouldering ruin. You dare speak of Talos in such a way, then rot in the land of your heathen cause. They should have slain me instead of leaving me to starve. I may not be able to see, but I can still smell and taste and hear and feel. And I have the will in my soul to live, and to tell all of Tamriel what the Thalmor are really doing. To fight them, as and where I can, in what small ways I might be able to manage. They may have taken my sight, but they will never break my spirit. If we, the Altmer, are to be the most enlightened and divine beings on Nirn, then let us prove ourselves worthy of that distinction with the strength of our hearts, rather than the cruel, cold might of our blades.
Oh, and I have seen a happy Bayo at the end.
We love a happy Bayo.
Hello, Strudel. EJ. I'm confused today already.
Oh.
So, Kiralta? Ciralata?
Ciralata.
Ciralata.
Ciralata. Zero for short. Which is ironic because she can't see.
But
So, well, we had a nice introduction to her, and knowledge is power.
Yes. I don't know where to start with her.
Yeah, it's. Did you? Let's start at the beginning. How did you plan her out? It was random stuff, or did you plan her out already?
Yeah.
From the beginning.
Yeah, I pulled a Karn with this one. Doesn't see a lot of
You pulled that Karn with. I'm trying to prompt you. Continue, please.
See, she didn't get very far past the introduction, so I'm like, that's it. That's the show. That's the
No,
character.
but there's a lot to unpack in that 3 minutes. So
Yes.
feel free.
Yeah, I pulled a card. I completely random rolled her and ended up with a blind Altmer who was a devotee of Xerxes, who is the scribe of Magnus, who in some version of Xerxes' ascension myth, I suppose, basically did what Talos did and was like, haha, I'm a god now. Not quite so, haha, I'm a god now, but more like, just, I have ascended. And when I random rolled that, I am using Winter Sun, since we've been talking about mods and whatnot. So when that pulled a card, yes. When that MCM popped up, I rolled for which god she would worship, if any, and found it cruel and perfect for her to be worshipping the god of books and reading things, which isn't something that she can do anymore. Which is why I ended up having a seeing eye Roggy in the college with her, so that she could actually learn spells and read new books by having him read them to her.
Okay.
So yeah.
Interesting take on it, yeah.
Yeah.
Navigating... Good way around it.
Navigating was fun. Part of the reason that she didn't get very far past just the intro and taking a few steps into the College of Winterhold. I almost said the College of Whispers. The College of Winterhold. Was that I spent every other step going, okay, what can she feel on her face and on her skin right now? Like, which way is the wind coming from? Can she smell the plants over there? Can she hear the wolves in that direction? Can she feel the downhill slope with her stick and with her feet? And can she navigate that way? Which is how she got to Pines Grove, right out of quote-unquote spawning in an ancient Nordic ruin with the ancient Nordic... TheWynd!
Sorry.
I set myself up for that one. we like the wind jokes. I like the wind jokes.
Absolutely. Wind jokes are necessary.
My brain squirreled.
Something about the college.
I got
a few steps.
Right, when she originally spawned in, she was in Shorestone. And she was wearing the ancient Nordic armor. And I'm like, girl, what are you doing in that armor? So I looked around for any ancient Nordic ruins in the area, found Runevald, which is in the, I think that's Dawnguard that adds that in, because I think that's where you find the priest that talks to Talos. I consoled my way in,
Okay.
so that I could give her a spot that she could spawn in that was like, okay, we've just been tossed in here to die. She could pick up some old armor and figure out the stuff. And while I was sitting in Runevald and thinking about all of this, basically the same thing happened with Syrah that Karn had happen with the... What was his... Verfir? The Lost? The Draugr reconstituted. Wherein
it was the living
in the
relic.
first... Yeah, that's... he was the amnesiac.
Oh, amnesia? Was it amnesia? Okay.
Yeah. But in the first,
the thing that happened to him was what?
The thing that happened where it was like the first couple of minutes of play or hour maybe ish, this chunk of text just fell out of the character's brain and onto the paper. And that is what we've just listened to. That little monologue was sort of the first and the defining thing that I ever heard from Sierra's brain, I suppose. It's a weird way to put it, but followed swiftly thereafter by, I've read enough stories about survivors, I know how to get out of here, I need to go downhill, find a river, and that will lead me to a place where there's people. Which is how she got to Kynes Grove, which is where I was going with that whole tangent.
Ooh, we got there eventually.
Yeah, and I looked at your play rules, and you have, for example, will you kill, and I just think it's very interesting, you wrote that only kills in self-defense, and only if she can't run somewhere. She can't run is for a blind woman, interesting.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah. Yeah, that... I wrote that, I think before I rolled that she... I rolled for her eye color, and she ended up being blind. And it was
Oh, okay.
Another part of my plan was to have her be sort of an illusion mage sometimes, so she could, if she could figure out where to cast the spell, cast a calm, so that she would have time to get the heck out of Dodge.
Okay.
And of course, that was my plan before I realized that she probably wouldn't be able to see to cast the spell. So...
The other main rules you said was what you will take, and the what happened, the punishment basically.
Yeah, I had a... She didn't really get played far enough for me to enable punishments or have her do anything that would require one. So it was a little like, I'll figure it out when I get there, and then I never got there. But paying reparations to, is that the phrase? Probably.
Yes.
Paying reparations to like the churches of Talos. I love that we all sort of had a Talos aspect to our characters. Like, that just is fun to me. We've had a couple of Altmer. I almost said Dunmer, and that's not right. A couple of Altmer that are like, okay, we're sorry. It strikes me that Mr. Punching Bag, whose name I straight up forgot, I'm sorry. Mr. Punching Bag is a little bit more personal about it, and Sierra is a little bit more, if I can find a way to just get in the Thalmor's way a little bit, I will do it. Because that is my duty. As somebody who got punished like this for speaking out against them, I'm not going to take this lying down, literally, and yeah. So paying reparations toward shrines of Talos and other churches, I suppose. Giving money to beggars. What else did I think of?
The idea is interesting. You have wrote that to reporting the crime herself, basically.
Oh yeah, yeah. If she were to accidentally put someone in an early grave, she would report it immediately and actually spend the time in the jail, which is not something that I usually do with characters because it's annoying a little bit, but
forcing you to pay the time, basically.
Yeah, spending time in a cell, and just dealing with what happens afterward, I suppose, because I haven't done that in a very, very long time. I usually play good characters, good-ish characters, or characters that will yeet after they've murdered somebody. But she's not like that. She will take full responsibility for her actions, good or bad. She hopes that they're good. And one of the things that I found interesting to play around with was taking the idea of Altmer supremacism, which is rampant in the Thalmor, and probably something that has seeped into the greater culture of Alinor at this point. Taking that idea of, oh, hey, we're the best, hurrah! And having her, like, thinking, okay, she may have grown up with this message, she must have grown up with this message, how would she interpret that, being a highly intellectual and broadly studied person who actually cares about the greater chunk of world that is Tamriel. Thinking, oh, alright, if, which is kind of something that's in the back of my head because of the Thalmor that I'm also writing in my series, writing/playing/ trying to stay out of her head as much as possible. Because she's scary. And Syrah is her opposite. She's like, okay, if we're going to call ourselves the best, we should prove it. And actually be nice to people. And actually use our powers for good instead of trying to be awful to people. Which was fun to think about.
That's what I thought was really fascinating about that piece that you did, the 3-minute video, was the whole path she was going down with respect to Altmer supremacy or not. It's like, well, maybe we are, but we don't show it very often. That was really interesting to me.
Thank you.
And
it came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I would have loved to see more about that, but, you know.
I want to play more about her at some point. I don't know when, but it's a cool idea.
Yeah.
You seem to got lost a bit in the ideas and the thinking about it. Rather than be able to play her a lot. Let's say it this way.
Yeah.
I
Besides
also
time
just
and stuff,
had
of course.
life happen in the middle of everything, and
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
as it does.
As we all have.
Life happens. Angry Khajiit noises.
Okay, this was not Kachi. This was something else.
Yeah, Harumph. That's what that was.
All right. Do you have? You seem to not have a lot to say this time about your character. To be honest. Or
yeah, I had.
Yeah.
I had some. Sorry. we keep talking at the same time. It's fun. I had some plans, sort of, for her. I can talk more about the game mechanics of just trying to navigate.
Sure.
What was she going to be? Yes.
So the reason they went to the college was because our delightful seeing eye Ragi, whom I adore, mostly because of Walking from the Light, and also because he's just fun. He suggested that they go to Winterhold primarily to see if someone at the college could magically fix her eyes, because someone who spent her whole life reading, and that's like her thing, and she can't read anymore. Like, can we fix it? Can we work around it? Oh, by the way, it was really fun trying to get his ancestral shield, playing a blind character with a stick, because
I can imagine.
It was Anselvund, which is full of necromancers and Draugr and stuff. So the mages were easy, because you can just follow the stream of magic and go whack where it's coming from. That she had to wait for the Draugr to hit the stick before she figured out, okay, that's where they are. Boop, with the mace. So So yeah, I didn't really have a build idea in mind other than she was going to go to the college, realize that Ankano was there, and be like, I know what you're up to. I don't trust you at all. I'm going to befriend everyone else at the college so that they know what you're up to as well, and if I can get in your way, I will. But she's not really a very... She's like confrontational, but in a sideways sort of way. She's like, I'm not gonna fight you, but I will befriend everyone around you.
Yeah.
So that they know that they're seen. So that they know that... Which is something that she did in Windhelm as well, was they went through Windhelm, got Ragi some better-ish armor, got her some better-ish armor, and was planning to go through the Grey Quarter and, again, befriend as many of the Dunmer as she could, because it's like, okay, this is not a good situation for you, how can I help?
Mm-hmm.
So, basically, her build was just help first, battle second.
Yeah.
And we didn't get very far, but...
Seems like we all kind of went there in some degree or other. The good guy helps.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. It's a good theme. It seems like a good theme. I'm sure it could be twisted in all sorts of horrible ways, but it feels like a good theme.
Yeah, but
How
it's...
did you...
Yeah? Speak up.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
No. I interrupt you.
I actually just had a question. I was thinking about going through that dungeon, trying to wait for... How did you do that in terms of game mechanics? You know...
How so?
How did you approximate her needing to wait for the Draugr to hit the stick?
Oh, you can... Oh, jeez. It took me a hot second to figure out, let me tell you. Basically, because you can block with the walking stick, it's sort of equipped like a shield.
Okay, sure.
Which was fun, considering that I also have back shields in this load order, and it wasn't doing what I wanted it to. So I could never have the stick favorited, otherwise it would disappear. But we always had the stick. So if you block with the stick...
Sure.
She just sat there and waited for bonk. And then, okay, the hit came from that direction. We can swing back in the same direction. Or we can test it by doing a shield bash with the stick and seeing if that's actually where the Draugr is. She probably could have also, like, listened, now that I think about it. But it was more fun to have she has to take a bit of damage first before she can figure out where the heck things are coming from.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I couldn't imagine how you would do it. That's great.
I died so many times!
Definitely.
Well, that's how you do it.
Definitely an interesting play idea, and I assume you need to force yourself a lot to follow these rules, basically.
Yeah, it was... Every once in a while I'd catch myself and be like, wait, how is she doing this? Is this a thing that she can actually do? Like, navigating to Anselvund, being blind, and having not been there before, I sort of reasoned it that Ragi pulled her map out and sort of figured out where she had been, and then sort of traced her finger over the map so that she could, like, feel the path and describe, okay, there's a split in the road here, don't take that one, take the next one, and do that. So she was just wandering along the road feeling for the cairns that mark the doohickeys, the splits in the road.
Uh-huh.
Interesting concept and idea, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, it took a while.
and
Just
probably
figuring out how I was going to do it.
Probably hard to play.
Yeah. Not nearly as hard as the 10 tons of rules about losing memory from the last one.
Okay.
That was
This was overwhelming.
oh, that was too much. This was just enough.
But here he would be more figuring out the gameplay for a blind
Yes.
character. Would be more the thing that is important to figure out.
I can't remember what spell Feralda asked her to cast for the entrance exam. I think it might have been the cast the mage light in that spot. I just realized. How the heck would she know? Just
I'm just
Froggy,
gonna
turn me in the right
in your
direction.
general direction and hope.
But I feel like if she works a lot with magic, there could be, from a story perspective, a way to figure out more vision with magic or something like this.
Yeah.
If she is /was Dragonborn, then using Lost to figure out if like to do the vision with the voice.
For
Yeah.
example, like I said, also I could imagine if this would be a longer story arc, there could be a point where the magic itself can help a lot with this.
Oh my gosh, I would love to somehow write her into the Dawnbreakers so that she could meet Arden and have him be like, wait, I can help with that, and just do the same kind of enchantment thing.
Yeah.
Problem is that I'm so far into the Dawnbreakers, I don't know how I'd put her in there, but that would be... She would fit. Be cool.
Yeah, or could also be a way a character giving the dragon shout with console or something like this and playing around with more of this. Because it still has cooldown.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. and a bit crazy as always.
Oh yeah,
I would say.
there's always a little bit of crazy with me.
Yeah.
My story of this was hearing, oh my gosh, I have to record a female Altmer. I don't know if I have it in me.
Yeah.
It's the plus side of being in the same house is that I get to hear the voices.
Yeah.
And they're not all coming from my head, you know.
You
Yeah, that's
have
fun.
more than your own voices.
Yes.
Mhm.
Can be
Yeah,
hard
all sorts of fun
to
voices.
differentiate them.
Yeah. Walk up the stairs. I think EJ's recording. No, I think she was just playing in a dice game. No. I hear Zaytest.
Kinoa.
I hear Zaytest. I'm pretty sure she's recording. Yeah.
Or is it one of my voices?
No, they're not my voices. But
Yeah, it must be.
yeah.
Must feel like there are living a lot of people upstairs.
yes, sometime.
I am several people in a trench coat, which is weird because I'm only 5'2".
And
I
skinny.
don't know how I fit them all. In the trench coat, but they're there.
Magic it is.
Yes.
Do we have any additional questions for this interesting idea?
Several very
Concept.
small people. I'm 12 Alfiq in a trench coat.
Several worries. Yeah. One badass trench coat. Yeah, alright, then I would say I bring up my random name picker again. Don't mind the ad up there. This is the site I'm using, and it is site. Yeah, sadly, Wind played a good girl on her stream. So as far as I know.
It's the wind.
Sadly, she's not here. I assume, oftentimes, time difference and personal schedules and stuff. But I'm sure there is. She showed some of the stuff on her streams. And for me, they are hard to follow time-wise. Does someone have a bit of an input about her girl? Maybe?
Alas, I do not.
I don't really either.
Don't remember.
Yeah. But you can catch her probably on stream, showing off some of the stuff. And I would also like to include her, the names, of course. So we have Karn, who knows a theme already. We have Magus, who says in a week he has a theme. And then we have TheWynd. I think we are pretty much... Everyone else already had one. Isn't it this the way? We have... Yeah. So let's pick a random name, I would say. Yeah, I need a drum roll stuff. The winner is TheWynd. No, like I said as often, the Ashlander came from me, was my first one, but it was inspired by what Magus said at this time. It was, in the end, my first thing. Alright, so we have TheWynd. I will contact her, tell her that she has to pick a theme. And when we have it. No, again? Again? The cheesiest character. Yeah, we'll contact her and we will figure something else out. I don't know, a week or so or 2 weeks. I'm not sure how long this will take. And yeah, I would say we are pretty much concluded. The challenge so far, the good guy, was a very nice one again, I think.
Thank you, everybody.
This is an excellent challenge.
I hope everyone had a lot of fun with it. And some
Definitely did. But I have the new character itch again. Anyone else? Just me?
Oh, yes. Always.
Yeah, with
Sorry?
also with some of the stuff that happened for me and my timing, and so I feel like every challenge got pulled out in length for some 2 weeks or so at least. Yeah, maybe some short personal note. If you're not realized so far, it's a new channel. This is the channel going forward, so if you want and haven't so far, please, I appreciate every subscription. And yeah, I hope I get everything together and we'll start to do some stuff soonish, we'll say it this way. I'm thinking about a lot of different stuff at the moment, not only modding or Skyrim related, but will be a lot of mix up stuff, I think. I'm simply interested in too much stuff, I think. This is the problem, but like I said, if you haven't realized so far, it's a new channel. This is the channel going forward. And if you want, please subscribe.
Already did.
Already did.
Nice. Okay, then thank you everybody for joining in. Thank you everybody for joining in for the challenge. As a new one will come soon. Everyone. Thank you, Strudel, for moderating the thing with me together today.
Thank you for having me.
And oh, here is TheWynd. Here is TheWynd. Hey, TheWynd. We can
Guess
add.
what?
Wynd, would you have time to talk a bit about your good girl? Now that you're here.
Yes. I'll hop off so that she can do that.
We just wanted to conclude, but when you have time, we will add it. Of course. The only thing is, I fear I need to go to the bathroom again. So give me a quick 1 minute or so to think. Let Wynd think about it. Quick break for bio things. Alrighty, I'm back. Excuse me. Too much water. So yeah, like I said. Oh. Don't need to talk. Yeah, you don't need, but if you want, you can join us, talk about a bit about her. However you like. Don't need to talk. You don't need, but if you want, you can join us, talk about a bit about. Please mute the YouTube. So we don't have echo.
Yeah, because there's an echo.
I'm sorry. I was totally unprepared.
No problem. Hello, Wynd.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, we are fine. We just hoped that you will join in because we knew you have a good girl.
I did, and I'm my usual bad self. I didn't post any kind of a write-up, but I streamed her, so I thought, well, everybody pretty much knows her story, but she was a young Nord warrior who joined what she thought was a group of like-minded warriors, but turned out that they were mercenaries, and she ended up getting set up during one of their quote-unquote missions and took the fall for what happened there. So she spent some time in the Chill, which is the prison in Winterhold.
Yeah.
And the reason, so I didn't know what her story was going to be. I created her with the idea that she would be fairly innocent and, kind of a do-gooder sort of person. And that her lineage was, from a family, from a long line of warriors. And so her name, I forgot to tell you her name. Her name was Friesta Stormmaiden. And so I did the whole random start, and that's where Unbound put her in the Chill.
Okay.
So it just kind of
start.
clicked. Yeah, it was like,
Wow.
Oh boy, that's almost as bad as starting in Solstheim, and I think it's probably even worse. So, with that kind of a start, and I thought to myself, okay, I know that there are frost atronachs here. I know that I will die many deaths if I try to escape. So she served her time, and that seemed logical for somebody who was, I don't know what the terminology was, but she's a morally good person, and she just got stuck in something that she didn't understand, and she was taken advantage of. So while she spent her time there, she thought about her actions and her behaviors and how would she compensate for what she now realizes were the bad things that she had done with this group of mercenaries. So she serves her time. She gets out. She comes out with, she was a sword and board, heavy armor character, which I've never done before. So there was absolutely no stealth involved, but I wanted her to stay on the straight and narrow path and to choose quests and jobs that would ultimately have her compensating for all the bad things that she ended up being involved in. She ended up also being Dragonborn, so that would have led her into the saving of Tamriel, or so we would like to believe. But I didn't get that far in the actual gameplay, but in my mind, her story was going to be that. So, and I had a ball playing her. She didn't look for combat, but she would defend herself if she was attacked. So she always tried to find the peaceful way around things, and if that didn't happen, then she would defend herself. And that was her story in a nutshell.
And did you put any play rules in game for you?
Yeah.
And
So
punishments and stuff.
So the rules that I have had for her were to try to be strictly sword and boards. So the only magic she used, if I can remember correctly, was healing. So she would heal herself, but she used a sword and shield. As I said, she would not outwardly attack animals, bandits, mercenaries. She would walk by and mind her own business, but if the trouble came to her, she would defend.
Okay.
And beyond that, and obviously the no stealing,
Mm-hmm.
Sword and Nord.
Sword and Nord, yes.
Sword and Nord, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel Storm Maiden sounds like a very strong name.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked the idea of Storm Maiden, and I was originally going to have her use shock magic, but then I also wanted to specifically use the armor that she was wearing. Excuse me. And when I looked at it, I thought, this is not... Oh, the other thing too. Nope, never mind. Different character. So I looked at her in this armor and I said, no, she is not a mage type. She's going to be a warrior. And so, free stuff, I think, came from kind of a ice frost slash sort of name, and because she started in the chill, it just fit. And then Storm Maiden because she's a warrior and a maiden and all that stuff.
So you took the full random start and everything else, including the name and all around, came after this. This is the way you went with her.
Yeah, exactly.
Very hard start. I didn't even know that it could... Is this with Unbound?
Yep, this is with Unbound.
Didn't know that it could
So I wasn't going to know if she'd be Dragonborn, and I wasn't going to know where she was going to start. And obviously I consoled in, or I gave her the armor that she collected from her belongings chest. And beyond that, whatever she started with. But, I gave her the armor, I gave her the shield, I gave her the sword, which, in the beginning was overpowered at level 1. But, also I tend to die a lot, so she needed the...
She needed the protection.
I needed the advantage, so... So that was her story, and I streamed her, on my Sunday streams. Had a lot of fun with her. She managed to survive her first dragon, but it was a lot of ducking and hiding and taking our best shot. I think I
That's-
also gave her a wolf bow. Actually, I take that back. She found a wolf bow in the chill, and it wasn't stealing, so she took it. And it ended up being just the perfect bow for her. Also kind of an OP bow, but, level 1, gotta
Yeah,
do what you
yeah.
gotta do.
And,
If
and
you
take
find
what you
it,
find.
that's yeah, exactly. Fair game.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you went more with the traditional high morality, good type of character.
Yes, because I looked at her, she was totally duped. She thought she was, coming from this long line of warriors in her family. She wanted to make her mark. And so she fell in with this group not knowing what they really were because she didn't have any frame of reference for, this type of people. She's very young. So, never occurred to her that these things that she was doing in the name of, whatever cause they were telling her they were doing it for, she never realized what she was doing was bad. Although it does kind of make her seem a little dumb that she didn't even have an inkling that maybe this isn't quite right. But, I kind of went with that anyway. But serving her time just really... She grew up.
Not dumb, naive, maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
This-
naive, yeah.
This is
That
what,
was the
what
way I
came to
approached
my mind.
Corliss. Yeah. Just kind of like I'm going to do what I think is good, and if it doesn't turn out to be good, that doesn't mean that I was stupid. It means that I was trying to be helpful.
Yeah,
Or something.
naive and trusting, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So that's pretty much how I pictured her. I am going to continue to play her. I just don't know. You're run-of-the-mill dimwit, yeah. Thanks, Karn. I am going to continue to play her. I don't know if I will continue to stream her since I started doing permadeath, and I'm having a lot of fun dying with that. So we'll see. But if I do anything monumental, I think I'll definitely post pictures and just a brief "this is what happened" sort of thing. And I may stream her on those days when I get so frustrated with myself that I can't, or I run out of pre-made characters because I've died 20 times. So we'll see, but I do want to continue with her because I loved playing her. It was a completely different playstyle for me. Not being stealthy, playing in heavy armor, strictly using a sword and shield. It's just not something I normally do. So I thought it would be a good challenge for myself as well as for her.
Yeah, I think this is some of the nice things on this challenge, as you get a bit sometimes pushed out of your comfort zone, but with the fighting style you pushed yourself out here, not from the challenge itself. And but it's always nice to challenge yourself too with some new stuff you usually not do.
Yeah, I agree. It makes playing interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Because playing the
keeps
same
it
thing
exciting.
over and over and over again is can be fun, but it's somewhat boring too. Or can be boring.
Unless you can put, a special twist on it, which
Which
I think a lot of people who prefer a certain playstyle always, seem to manage, to put an interesting twist on it so that it's not quite what you expect from them,
Yeah, this is true also. Yeah, nice that you joined in, and I don't know if you realized it so far, but you got picked for the next challenge.
I see that.
It's like, well, she's not here, but she did participate. So guess what?
Yeah.
Put her name in the bin.
No stress at all. Like, if it takes a week or even two, absolutely no problem. let
Yeah,
us,
I'll have to think of something unexpected.
yeah. We said
What was it Tarn said? We're all going to be playing Dibella worshippers here? Something.
and EJ said
Don't tempt me.
And EJ I think said more cheesy characters.
Oh, that would be fun, except that those mods are so glitchy.
Yeah.
They, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. I had so many crashes with that mod.
Okay.
But I will definitely come up with something hopefully enjoyable.
I'm absolutely like always. Let us get in direct contact before posting it, so I can also prepare time frame and stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
But-
sounds good. I need time to think about it and come up
Yeah.
with something good. So
Nothing to stress out, but it's your choice for the next one.
oh boy.
Okay, very
Alright,
nice,
good.
and I'm happy you could join in. To
Yeah,
just in time
apologize.
to
Yeah,
tell us
I-
about yours.
I'm so sorry I didn't join for the whole stream. I just got so sidetracked and completely forgot.
Absolutely.
So my apologies. My apologies to the other participants for not being here when they shared their stories.
I don't think there's a lot to apologize about. I always say it. I think I have the biggest time difference to you, and with personal schedules and stuff, and everyone has stuff around to do too. So
Yep.
this
That's
is
true.
life. This is life.
It is.
Alrighty, then let us now finally conclude the thing.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you.
I'm glad you made it.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely. So I may repeat myself. I say it one last time again. Like I said, this is the new channel. If you want, please subscribe to this one now. The other one is dead. The old one, sadly. And yeah, I hope soon. I'm just in a lot of preparation of new stuff to create. I've set up my whole OBS anew and all of this thing. But I hope soon, more or less soon-ish, I will get some more regularity and some stuff to do on stream again. Miss it a bit.
We'll be here.
Absolutely.
So, alrighty. Thank you everyone for being here. Thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you again, Strudel, for moderating the thing with me, and everyone who joined.
And thank you again.
And from my side, I wish everyone a good rest of your day. You see my time on the stream, so I will go to bed soon.
Okay.
And have a very nice rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, all.